Hi there. In this video we're going to be fixing this old AC that is not working anymore. And I will link in the description the video where I installed this thing on a wall. This was an old unit that somebody got off their wall, and we put it in here, basically second-hand, and we got it for nothing. It was free. Just needed to replace some capacitors in the PCB and it started working again, but now again it's not working, so maybe I should have replaced all the capacitors, or maybe something else failed in it. But yeah, we'll have a look and hopefully fix it. So basically, to open it up, this one, as you can see, has a screw right there, one right there. I will also lift the top cover from the sides. You pull on it on both sides, and hopefully I will see some other screws internally or anything that needs to be removed. Some of them also have some screws at the top. I think this one has some clips in there or something like that, if I remember right from last time I worked on it. But yeah, the plastic on this one is quite beat up. As you could see, I put two supports underneath it to hold it on the wall so it doesn't tear itself apart, but yeah. Well, no, I remembered wrong. It's actually easier. I don't even need to take everything else apart. It's just enough to lift this up and I have access to the metal cover over the PCB. Hopefully I have also access to all the connections to the board to get it out of there without removing the rest of the plastic. I hope they made this a good design and easy to repair. And that's off with a single screw. And now I remember I didn't like the design in here, so I added some protection just to make sure that those are unable to touch this, although they are not at the same level. These are deeper in there and also have plastic to space everything out, but just to be sure. So now I kind of need to disconnect everything from in here, or at least what's connected to the PCB itself, to get it out. More modern units have, I think, a bit of an easier access to the PCB than this one, but it's not that bad in this, I think, also. I was able to remove this, take it to the side, one screw right there in the middle, so I don't need to unplug anything. And normally this is moving at this point, so the PCB wants to come out, but look there. I think they actually made it taller that this will not allow it to come out. It's hitting right there. So they were so close to greatness and failed miserably. But I think I'm just going to cut in that plastic and see how much I need to cut for this to come out, because I don't want to take this whole thing apart. It's so brittle, the old plastic, that I might not be able to put it back together. So I prefer to have a bit of a cut in there. Use the wire cutter to have a bit of a nibble in there. I'm not 100% sure if it's enough, because we still have a bit of a radius, but I hope I can somehow squeeze it out. If not, I will cut a bit more of the plastic. I don't really care. It's enough. With a bit of gentle persuasion. Now I still need to start unplugging connectors to make sure I don't rip any wires out of the PCB. And it's out, and I took a lot of pictures with all the connectors to make sure I remember what was plugged in where. A few of them. And yeah, now I just need to take a look around. As you can see, replaced. So the big ones got replaced, but I did not replace the tiny ones. And that might be biting me in the ass at this moment, or maybe I will also check the fuses. Maybe one of them just popped. Checked fuses. No, they are good. So there's not that, but this thing isn't powering on at all. So we don't have 5 volt standby power. I'm not sure. This might be a 5 volt source. And look at that little leg. What do you see there? I'm not sure if it's a full short from one leg to the other, but I'm sure as hell going to test and see. The other one seems to be fine, but I'm not sure what that is. But I think this might be the 5 volt supply. I don't really remember where I left this off, but Let me get something pointy to show you. I started measuring. I expected this to be the voltage regulator that's making 5 volts for lots of things. But it needs to get something higher than 5 volts to be able to make 5 volts. So I measured it on the input leg and it had 0.3 volts. So something before it wasn't doing its thing. Well, that for me was a bit tricky to figure out exactly. Probably I told you that this one, or I didn't tell you. I literally don't remember exactly what I filmed for this video. I saw that it was quite darkened in here on the back, so this was heating up. On the other side, not dark almost at all, so much darker on the side where this is, but I did not measure it. And decided, looked at this, tried to figure out how everything was working. It was too much for me. There's a lot of back and forth with optocouplers and self-regulating stuff, so yeah, a bit too much for me. I took it to a friend of my father's that fixes all kind of electronics. He hates ACs in particular, but luckily good enough friend with my father that he took a look at it and said, that's your problem. So somewhat my guess that this was overheating was good. Somehow this crept up, but in the original video I actually replaced a few capacitors on this PCB. So maybe when the actually also these two, maybe when the original capacitors blew up, they actually weakened this enough that in time it failed. So quite simple. It's a top 221Y. Search for that online. My father's friend suggested that there are some upgraded versions of that one. It's a top, come on camera, please focus, where is that, top 222YN, and from new version. But being 222, this takes about twice the current, the wattage actually. I think this one handles about 7 watts. This can take about 14 or 15 watts. But there's an even beefier one, top 223YN, which can take, I think, 25 watts, 30 watts or something like that. So I'm thinking just go with this one. The other specs are the same, so it should be just a drop-in replacement. Maybe it's overkill what I'm doing here, but I don't plan on opening this anytime soon. And to do even better, I plan on installing this. I don't have enough room to install it normally, like this, how it should be. I want to cut it more or less in half, so it will cool this down, but not perfectly, but still better than nothing. And by cutting in half, I'm also making sure that I don't get close to anything that I shouldn't get close. And yeah, I guess that's more or less all that I need to do now. I also want to make a bit of thread in this so I can put directly a screw in there. Not sure how I can do that. It's not that thick, but maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. We'll see. So we'll get back to you once I simply replace this, desolder the old one, solder the new one with half of this heatsink on it, and see how it goes. But if you have something like this, do not try to fix it yourself. Just take it to an electronics guy, and if he cannot fix it, then universal PCBs exist. You might not have the functionality of some LEDs on the outside of your unit working anymore, but the PCB that you are buying might have its own LEDs, so you might be able to somehow replace those with the new ones. Depends a lot on you, but it seems on my PCB just this little guy failed, so I don't need to put a universal one in place. It's this one, and we are done. made a thread in this, obviously cut it in half, so we are only using half of it, and put a screw with an elastic washer in there so it will not come loose by itself. And now just need to plant it in there in place of the bad one. Then plug this in. If it beeps, it means it's working. And yeah, be careful about the big caps. They are holding a bunch of power in them, at least this for sure. This 25 volt ain't that extreme, but still it will have a bit of a bite probably to it. Anyway, let's get this in high speed. Again, if you are not comfortable doing such work, take this to an electronics expert. Do not attempt to do any of this yourself. I was a bit in over my head, so I took it to somebody, but I can replace a bad component. He did not need to do that for me. He just needed to say, that's the one. But first, let's take a look at PCBWay, today's video sponsor. And here we are on PCBWay.com, and they can help you with PCB prototypes with various numbers of layers, PCB assemblies, flexible and rigid flex PCBs, advanced PCBs. They can also do CNC and 3D printing and support a various assortment of CAD files. They can also do SMD stencils for you. So let's get back to our project, and thanks PCBWay again for sponsoring this video. And it's done. Cut the extra legs of this thing, patched up 2 more connections that I didn't like how they were looking. This thing not touching anything, absolutely in free air in there. It's not over the height of these components on the PCB, not over the side limit. It's perfect in my opinion. But now let's see, will it work or will it not work? Don't forget, after soldering, do your best to clean as much of the residue with alcohol, because anything that you leave in there can start to corrode the PCB and you will have a bad time. Yes, some things you cannot get off because it's just the solder mask being burnt a little from overheating, but most stuff normally comes off. And we are ready to plug this in. Please ignore my fan in the background. Hopefully I will not need it anymore if this thing beeps when I plug it in. When I switch actually the power on. Be back in a second. Actually not be back in a second. So it's plugged in and now I'm flipping the switch. And it beeped. It's working. Do not touch this thing anymore. Shut it off. Give it a few seconds to drain a bit of the power from the circuitry, from the low power. In here still having power for sure. Do not touch any of it, and then turn it on again. Again beeping. So it was not just a one-off, this thing is actually working. Switch it off. Beeped. Try it again. Yeah, this is working. Do not touch anything in here for a few good hours. Normally it has bleed resistors. Voltage in these caps will be going down slowly, But anyway, consider it charged. Do not freaking touch anything in here. And for the last time, this is what was blown. This little guy. Right here. Yep. Oh, and look at it. Do you see it? So maybe this was corroded in time. Something got to it slowly. This does not look like a blow up to me. It's not happening on the metal, the blow up itself mostly. So I don't think, but yeah, maybe some corrosion got somehow to it. Who knows what happened in here? But anyway, this is our culprit. And now this is ready to go back into the AC, and we saved another electronic device, an AC from the landfill. But anyway, I would have replaced, do not touch the electronics, only the plastic. I would have replaced this with a universal one, but we don't need to anymore because we fixed this one with a simple component. Get yours to an electronist to get it fixed. At this point, all that's left to do is start inserting this thing back in there and plugging things in exactly where they were. So hopefully you've made pictures with every single cable where it needs to plug in. As you can see, our radiator is right there, and there's absolutely plenty of room in that area in the back. Nothing will hit it. There are no cables to push on it. Yeah, it's closed up, so it's not ideal spot for a radiator. Won't do that much, but hopefully it will do just enough to not let this thing pop once again. But normally it shouldn't. I think the other one was just defective in time, and popping capacitors help it become worse. In theory, I have plugged everything into their respective connectors, so now I will just slide this backwards and continue. So everything pushed in, put my screw in here and pushed the connection, I don't know, plate. Then on top of the wires put this protection. I think this protection has a single purpose of keeping the wires tucked in there and allowing you to reach this button in case you ever need to push it in, if you don't have a remote, to turn this thing on automatic mode without going directly into those. But normally, then again, you also have a cover on top, so no freaking clue. Maybe just to tidy up the wires, to not push in that metal cover. But anyway, back, I'm going to put this in, because I didn't like the fact that it didn't have a proper insulation. There is a space in here, so they cannot touch, but yeah, I have this in here, and also I have it on the plate. I don't like electrocushion at all. And this plate, I slid it upwards, and I will just put one screw in here and it covers everything. And here we also have the connection diagram in case you forgot what wire goes where, but still easier to make pictures from the start. And it's done. And in theory, if these are clean, if not, clean them, wash them, and then dry them and put them back. But if yours are also clean, you can just lower this thing into position. It has locks on the sides. Again, this one is extremely old and brittle. Yours should come down much easier and nicer. For me, it takes two hands and a lot of wiggling to not break it. And in theory, at this point, in case I didn't forget anything, this should be done and it should be working. Yes, it's that old that I even painted it white. That's its color. This has 21 years of age and hopefully still working for a few more. Next, what I need to do is flip a switch and hopefully hear a beep. It beeped. So this thingy, and you can see the flap moving. It's working. We fixed it. Yay! Let's see if it starts. Isn't this? Ah, my batteries are quite weak in this thing. Not on camera it shows up fine, but for me it's quite dim. And it kind of wants to point this directly towards that sensor. Do I care? Hell no, this will cool me down. And it's still running like a champ. So For me this is a huge win. I don't like things to go to waste, and this AC is not going to go to waste. And also this video ended up being mostly an awareness video that AC PCBs can be fixed. Could be as simple as a voltage supply, a voltage regulator, a capacitor or a few capacitors, or fuses, even simple things, or a bad connection, bad solder joint somewhere. Have it seen by an electronist and have it fixed. And if not possible, again, universal AC PCBs exist, and one of those could keep your AC running for a few good years once more. So yeah, hope this video helped you, in which case please give it a like, check out my other videos, and as always, see you in the next one. Bye.